Surprise! I'm reviewing another Kamen Rider belt. This quickly, too. The last Soundout review is a Rider belt. What has happened? Drive has happened. Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to another Kamen Rider review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Kamen Rider Deluxe Drive Driver. This is for Kamen Rider Drive, his main Henshin belt for the year, and I gotta say, I really like it. It has received some controversy, and most of that's due to its price. This thing retails for over $80. It is a very pricey belt at its base cost, but most stores have lowered that price, including Amazon, where you can get it for about $45 to $50 shipped. Not bad. I kind of did one better and picked this up for $27.03 with Amazon Prime shipping. That probably won't ever happen again, and I'm almost certain that it was a mistake and that it was a fluke. But I'm lucky to have this for that price because I like it a whole lot more. It does fall over. Before we take a look at the Drive Driver, let's take a look at everything it comes with. First of all, everything comes in a beautiful full-color box, including an obnoxious orange sticker telling you that this is a first run edition, which means it comes with this, which is a Kamen Rider Drive Gamba Rising card with Drive type speed on one side and Drive type speed flare on the other side, which is really cool. Plus a little advertisement for Gamba Rising, which is an arcade game in Japan that uses these cards and an AR system to read them, which is pretty neat. So all first edition Drive Drivers will come with that. They will have this little sticker up here telling you it is a first edition. So keep an eye out for that. It's a neat little bonus. But if you don't care for cards, Driver itself does a whole lot. First off, let's take a look at the shift brace. Now the shift brace is actually where everything is inserted. It sends a signal to the Drive Driver to activate electronics, but this is where all the shift cars go, and it's kind of the primary device of Henshin, much like Kamen Rider Black RX, who also had a wrist brace part of his belt. It is a little weird because it is at an off angle from the strap, but that is to play into the shift car moving gimmick, and it does work well for that. But it is a little weird to wear. It also has a nice strap here that's got a red strap, which is new and interesting, and an old style lock, much like the Showa Rider belts, which I appreciate that little nod. Plus, a neat little Drive logo here, and it tells you 1 and 2, so that the right sides of the strap got in there. Now there's an on-off switch. All this does is turn on the sensor, and it just glows a little bit, so you know it's on, and you see when you press a button it glows, and you put a shift car in it glows. That means it's trying to send a signal. We'll send an H, a T, and a D. So, really cool. It's a neat little inclusion. It's definitely puts the Drive Driver as one of the more unique drivers, as being the second only to have a wrist brace. Also, he's the second only rider to have a car after Black RX, who also had a wrist brace. Pretty neat. Here are the belt straps. What's really cool about these is they are unique. First of all, they do have a seatbelt-like design. You can see the actual type of etching to look like stitching on a seatbelt, which is really neat. This is a side here which pulls in to attach to the belt, and this looks like a seatbelt clip which goes into the driver. You can press this and it says press, so it is a seatbelt connection, which is really cool. Plus, I gotta say, this is one of the most detailed covers for a rider belt I've ever seen, and I own quite a few of them. Overall, the belt parts are really neat. I would really like to see these in a complete selection modification format one day, because I think they could do some really cool things with maybe a cloth design even. That'd be really cool. But yeah, overall, belt is a win, but let's talk about the thing that the belt plugs into. Here is the Drive Driver, all chromed out and looking very much like a car. This thing is really cool looking. It's got gauges here, look like gauges in a car. You can see you got stickers here for extra detail. It is nice chrome, and you can see reflections in the face of the driver. You also have very car-like details, like this wood paneling-like design here. It's really neat overall. The only thing I really have a complaint with is this thing. It's for the seatbelt connection, but it just kind of flops around. It doesn't really help with stability. You can kind of balance it there, but this thing is pretty off-kilter. If you hadn't noticed, it does like to fall backward a little bit. Nice drive emblem here as well. It's a very nice looking driver overall, even if it is a little clunky, but you can see you fold that away, and then it falls back on it, and then it holds itself up. Now this is where all the electronics are stored and where all the light display comes from. So flicking a switch on the back, we can start your engines. So now the drive driver is powered on and ready to go. Now, in order to do anything on this driver, you have to pull this little key. And this key will activate the electronics themselves. This tells it to be ready for an input from the shift brace. Now, without any shift cars, you can press this red button here to activate faces of belts on, which is one of my favorite parts of the belt. But you just pull this here. So there you go, you get neat little facial expressions. It does not include any dialogue, but oh well. I kind of liked Hevat's dialogue, and I wish there would have been something similar here. Well, how this effect is done is that there is a spinning LED. It's about, I think, 9 lights long, and it just spins really fast, and that's what that motor sound is. It spins to give it that look, which is an interesting idea. I would have liked to see more of an LED display. I think the spinning motor thing's a little worrisome, as past spinning motor belts have had issues. But that's all the drive driver does on its own without its collecting gimmick for this year, the shift cars. Here is the Speed, Shift, and Max Flare shift cars. Now these are all that's included in the base set. You only get 2 here, which is kind of problematic to the price, but you can see that Shift Speed looks like a red car. It's actually a really nice design. It's not quite Trideron. It's more so Trideron if it didn't have all the upgrades, which is really neat. But it is a nice design. I do like it. Now the way shift cars work is that you flip them around like this, and now they're levers for the shift brace. So that's pretty neat. And it does roll, and it is a car, so it does roll around, which is pretty nice. Max Flare here, a little different as he is a translucent orange with red fire designs and headlights. Really nicely painted overall. I gotta say, shift cars are nicely painted. You can see they do have emblems there for their shift mode. He also has blue tires. I've noticed all the shift cars that I have so far just have different tire colors, which is pretty neat overall. But yeah, you only get 2 in this set, which is a shame. I wish it would have included Funky Spike and Midnight Shadow, but those are in the shift car holder and the Triderons, respectively. But now I think it's time to put shift cars into the shift brace to activate sounds in the drive driver. So in order to show off the functionality of the drive driver in Henshin form, I want to make sure I do it right. So in order to do that, we're going to use Shift Speed and become Kamen Rider Drive. Oh, come on! How did this happen again? Sorry, folks. I got turned into an action figure again. But since I haven't finished this review, I guess I'll have to continue it from this form. Not really sure how to do that properly. So I guess we'll have to have a series of close-ups of my shift brace and drive driver. So let's talk about the shift car's shift-up ability. Now, shift-ups are kind of interesting, as you have to crank on this to get it to activate in the driver. And the number of times you push against this depends on how much you will see the driver make the different noise. So in order to do this, you can have it crank once, crank twice, crank 3 times, and it'll go with this sound. Now, when shift-ups just aren't enough, you can also activate a finisher move with the Hisatsu button here. You press this, and you crank once. Now when you're done being Kamen Rider Drive, all you gotta do is release the shift car and press the power button. And that is the main functionality of the drive driver. The only thing left is to switch up tires using a tire Kokon. Now to activate a tire Kokon, you first need to remove the shift car. You then need to take your new shift car, push it, pull it, naturally, with max flare, you can do shift ups. Finally, you can activate the finisher. And that was the drive driver. I hope everything was pretty clear. Reviewing a toy while being stuck as, well, a toy is kind of tricky, and I hope I did my best and that everything was understandable overall. In the end, I do recommend the drive driver if you can get it for a good price, but I would say don't spend too much on it. The $50 range is pretty good for what you get. But until next time, be sure to check out HeroTaku.com for all your calendar news and more. And hopefully next week I'll be reviewing something that doesn't turn me into an action figure. But until then, be sure to subscribe to Soundout 12 for 3 videos a week on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Till next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye. But in order to take a look at the drive driver that can't stand on its own anymore, for some reason, it was fine. But until then, be sure to